One creature is so different, it makes the mind boggle. You could stick your neck out and say, no animal is as odd as the giraffe. With their long legs and long neck, their proportions simply make them unique. But there's a lot more to the giraffe than meets the eye. They can dine on the most unappetizing food, from cacti to bones. They can climb and roam far beyond the savannas. Giraffes are surprisingly fleet of foot. They can adapt to change, but stand their ground when necessary. They have their fights and their special point of view. This film will answer the many questions about these fascinating and enigmatic giants. It presents the giraffe up high and personal. Tens of millions of years ago, there were ancestors of the giraffe. They roamed over Europe and Asia. Today, Africa is the giraffe's only home. But what exactly are giraffes? They're mammals like us, but they have hooves like cows, sheep, and deer. Yet, it's their necks that make them stand out. And that tallness means they can be spotted from afar, even by wandering filmmakers. The giraffe's dimensions make life awkward for cameramen. And it's not just their shape that can drive a photographer crazy. Often, they confuse their audience. These extraordinary creatures are a challenge for any film crew. Perhaps giraffes need a format of their own. It's quite easy to focus on all the details, but less so to get an overview, the big picture of these giants. A frame to fit a giraffe? This task needs a special approach. Is this giraffe vision? Or maybe neckorama? But giraffes don't need tricks to propel them to the heights of animal stardom. They've always been different. Early explorers couldn't believe their eyes. They saw an animal with the head of a camel and the coat of a leopard. No wonder that this strange beast got the scientific name Giraffa camelopardalis. So how does this crazy creature work? Their patterning and color acts as camouflage. In this neck of the woods, the giant beast seems to dissolve into the trees. Adult males weigh in at 1.5 tons. Their slender legs bridge the gap between a huge body and plate-sized hooves, each with 2 toes. Even more strange, giraffes amble. They move both legs on one side of their body, while the other 2 remain on the ground. Elegantly balancing their head and neck like a pendulum, their hips sway to the same rhythm. Moreover, strong tendons and muscles keep their head held high. But why has the giraffe evolved to defy the laws of gravity? Size certainly has its advantages. Standing about 5 meters tall, giraffes are the first to spot danger. Their shorter neighbors know to stay close to their sky-high sentinels, as giraffes are the watchtowers of the savannah. They fear only one foe. Giraffes are incredibly curious, even about lions. But how do they react when the danger is real? They may look a bit silly, but they're not stupid. They run for it, accelerating with their extremely strong front legs. A giraffe can maintain speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour, outpacing the lions. Giraffes don't need to run any faster, for lions are their only enemies. And even when lions manage to corner giraffes, the giant is anything but defenseless. One kick to the lion's head could kill, a mother's lethal weapon to protect her young. The outcome is never sure when lions attack Africa's tallest animal. Even here, the giraffe escapes the hungry pack. Lions rarely claim such a prize. Luckily for the big cats, adult giraffes are not number one on their menu. The lions have more success in hunting youngsters. Only a third of baby giraffes survive their first year. Size is a good deterrent, though it doesn't always guarantee safety. But there is another, more obvious advantage to being tall. With almost exclusive access to the top table, giraffes can relax and dine in peace. Only a handful of creatures live up in the branches, but there's food enough for everyone. Large giraffe males can reach leaves as high as 6 meters. So, did the exceptionally long neck evolve just to reach the highest leaves? Scientists are skeptical, as females mostly bend down to feed. Even food on the ground is happily scooped up, so it seems that the evolution of the long neck was driven by more than just the need to feed. Giraffe love acacia leaves, but the trees protect their green from unwanted diners with the fiercest of spines. Yet the giraffe accepts this mission impossible without fear. For it has a way to breach the acacia's defenses. Stage 1. An elongated head helps it get in close. Second, Luckily, the sensitive nostrils don't face forward. Close quarters combat. Long eyelashes deflect the acacia's spines. The teeth act like a comb to strip the leaves from the tree. But the giraffe's most important weapon is its prehensile tongue. At nearly 50 centimeters long, it acts like a giant flexible finger. Dark pigmentation protects it from the sun's rays when it's out and doing its business. Giraffes have learned how to deal with a variety of spiny plants. Even cacti, introduced to the continent from America, hold no fear. The giraffes have become particularly fond of the plant's juicy core. No surprise then that giraffes have antibacterial saliva to safeguard against infections from wounds to tongue and mouth. Somehow, the muscular gullet and stomach stop swallowed spines causing the animal harm. A youngster's first encounter with cactus. Is it really safe to eat that stuff? The youngster gives it a try. It doesn't seem convinced. But that's no problem, for there are more than 60 other plants that a giraffe can feed on. In the morning, the giants roam from one tree to the next. In the midday heat, they stop. It's the giraffe's siesta. Giraffes withstand intense heat better than other beasts. Their coats help to regulate body temperature. The skin under the dark patches is thinner and has less hair, allowing the animal to lose heat more easily. Midday is the time to digest. The plant fibers are chewed well, then swallowed. Giraffes are ruminants. Microbes in the stomach help break down the tougher parts of their diet, but the food still needs further work. Waves of contractions ripple up the muscular esophagus, bringing the food back up to the mouth. It's a long journey. Eating and digesting, giraffes spend little time doing anything else. An adult consumes more than 30 kilograms of vegetation every day. It's an exhausting undertaking. Yet, even just sitting down is no simple matter for Africa's tallest animal. The giraffe's circulatory system has a problem: how to supply a brain that's 2 meters above the heart. The giraffe's heart is nearly 30 times heavier than a human's, and their blood pressure is twice as high, all to ensure that the brain receives enough blood. Standing up also has its challenges. The blood flows down to the feet. Special valves in the giraffe's blood vessels prevent a sudden loss of blood from the head, and so stop the animal fainting. Giraffes rise to their feet when disturbed. In this case, it's not a group of tourists. These men are on a mission. Andy Touchings studies giraffes in Uganda. He's part of a team from the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. Research has neglected the towering mammals for many years. Andy intends to change this. The team has discovered that a quarter of the giraffes here suffer from a new skin disease. So far, the cause is unknown. One more reason to keep an eye on the giraffes. Each animal has a unique pattern that remains unchanged throughout its life. Only the color may vary. Old bulls become darker with age. All of the data collected is archived, and new photos of the animals are taken every year. This enables the team to keep tabs on who's accompanying whom across the savannas. Andy Touchings is concerned. Giraffes once spread across Africa. Now only small populations remain, living in isolation, separated by large distances. The shape, color, and distribution of the patches distinguishes the 9 subspecies of giraffe. The most light-colored one is living in Namibia's desert. Their coat appears faded, matching the color of the sand. This subspecies, called Angolan giraffe, has adapted its appearance to the conditions. The parched landscape and searing heat make life tough. How is it possible for a young giraffe to survive here? It relies on the mother's milk for 6 months, so the mother must find enough food. But that's easier said than done in the dry season. Somehow, they've managed to survive in this extreme climate. But what is there to eat? Almost every tree has had its leaves stripped, and now is sporting a very familiar look. The young giraffe depends totally on its mother, but they're both dehydrated and suffering. Already, the vultures watch in hope of a meal. Daytime heat is followed by the cool of the night. The temperature falls significantly. Mist forms and floats across the landscape for a few hours. When the clouds dissolve in the heat of the sun, millions upon millions of tiny droplets are left behind on the leaves. The branches soak them up like sponges. This may save the young giraffe's life. It can consume as much as 20 liters of liquid a day by eating the moist leaves. But as the dry season intensifies, the bushes lose their green. So the giraffes need to find another source of water. The big guys down in the dry riverbed seem to know where there's still some food to find. Now the giraffe's natural curiosity helps. They watch the elephants intently. They have already found something to eat. The giraffes enter the riverbed and zero in on the anna tree. Baboons are already feeding among its branches. It's the only tree that bears fruit in the dry season. Therefore, it's a big hit with the locals. But most of the fruit is out of reach, even for a giraffe. For the time being, they can only look on. Meanwhile in Uganda, the researchers are closing in on another subspecies, the Rothschild's giraffe. Julian Fennessy is studying their genetics. The researcher needs skin samples. The giraffes that have already been photographed are of particular interest. A small piece of skin is enough. The skin sample will be sent to a laboratory. The scientists are building up a picture of the subspecies and the relationships between the animals in the herd. Over time, they hope to develop a better understanding of the social lives of these animals, for much still remains unknown. Back in the heat of Namibia's desert, the giraffes are waiting patiently for their next meal. There must be a way. And then it happens. An elephant shakes the anna tree. Another elephant tries a different technique. Dinner is served, and everyone wants a piece of the pie. Time for the giants to pull rank. The hungry youngster finally gets a meal. The giraffes have to splay their legs if they're to reach food on the ground. The seed capsules of the anna tree are particularly nutritious, and the most important source of protein during the dry season. And it does seem to taste good. Sticking by its mother has saved the youngster. The baby has a long life ahead of it. A female giraffe will be at least 5 years old before she becomes a mother. Baby giraffes spend 15 months in the womb and have a rather bumpy journey into the world. After arriving with a bump, the young giraffe will remain at the mother's side for up to 18 months. The heat of the afternoon makes life tough for the small family. The fine sand and dust penetrate the fur and find their way into the giraffe's ears and nostrils. Even for these giants, dealing with such extreme conditions is not easy. But there is hope. The weather is changing. The young giraffe desperately needs to drink. But the rain falls far away. The riverbed remains empty and dry. The giraffes must set out in search of water. But even before their journey begins, they face the first challenge: the dry river's rocky, steep bank. They draw on all of their strength to climb the slope. But the heavy bull hesitates. The thirsty mother and young can't afford to wait. He's not giving up, but instead gearing up for a second attempt. In general, giraffes don't appear to be natural-born climbers, but maybe this time. No. At the last moment, his courage fails him. The bull opts to take the long way round and looks for a less arduous exit from the riverbed. The desert giraffes can walk 40 kilometers a day in search of food and water. They move with purpose. They know where they're heading, a place where they can find precious water. But when they arrive at their destination, they face a big problem. A family of elephants is occupying the waterhole. The giraffes must keep a safe distance. Finally, the family bath time comes to an end. The giraffes can now venture forward, but the last elephant bull seems unwilling to leave. How should the giraffes interpret his stance? Is he to be trusted? Eventually, the dominant bull departs, and the path is clear. However, drinking in open country is a risky business. The giraffes must remain alert. Nothing to fear. The oryx antelopes pose no threat. Lapping up the water, a giraffe never spends more than a minute with its head down. One reason here are the desert lions, so the longnecks always remain on guard. When a giraffe quickly raises its head, the blood pressure remains constant thanks to the valves in its veins, which safeguard against dizziness. Namibia's desert giraffes can survive days without drinking. Their bowels retain every last drop of water. Only dry pellets are excreted. The deserts of Namibia provide a vast habitat in which to roam. For their relatives in Eastern Africa, space is much tighter. This Maasai giraffe lives on the doorstep of Kenya's capital. This is not a zoo, but the Nairobi National Park, where the animals roam free. The construction of settlements and roads is restricting the giraffe's freedom more and more. However, the noise and structures don't bother them, as long as they can find enough to eat. A stone's throw from the urban sprawl stands a particular kind of acacia. Swollen thorns make them easy to identify. They house an army of ants. While the giraffes are feeding, hundreds of foot soldiers swarm out of their barracks. They fill the air with a chemical spray that recruits even more ants that attack the intruder. But the giraffe's leathery skin is simply too tough for the ants, so the giants just keep munching on. Feeding time is brought to an end for another reason. Acacias react to unwanted guests by producing a bitter substance that makes the leaves unpalatable. After a while, the giraffes have had enough and move off, and the plant survives. Even more, the browsing by the giraffes stimulates the production of more leaves. Surprisingly, the acacias grow better when they're stripped. So these tall guys fulfill an important role in the ecosystem. By pruning and shaping the bushes, they also act like natural landscape gardeners. Giraffes have no fixed territories. They move as nomads, always looking for the best feeding places. Their progress only stopped by lakes and rivers that form natural borders for them. Most mammals can swim, but do giraffes belong to that group? To date, there's no evidence to suggest that giraffes can swim. It seems they prefer to keep their feet and long legs dry. The long legs like each other's company. Most groups are composed of females. This lonely guy has his eyes on them. It doesn't matter that this mother is still suckling. She could be in heat, and that's what the bull wants to test. He tries the giraffe's way of getting information, and she gives all the messages he needs by urinating. He's testing her through flaming. An organ in the male's mouth can detect if she's in estrus. A positive signal, and the bull has his way, but it's no long-lasting romance. The female alone shoulders all parental duties. Here in South Africa, a young mother is raising the result of a quickie liaison. During the first days after birth, both animals stay away from the herd. But then they rejoin their group. There's safety in numbers, and it's needed, because there's something in the air. A research team from the University of the Free State is on the move. Francois Deacon is directing the action. He wants to equip one of the animals with a satellite transmitter to learn more about giraffes and their behavior. The vet tries to follow the herd. They must avoid separating the mother from her child. So the researchers have chosen another female. vet tries to get as close as possible for the shot. The team wants to force the group into the open. Then, it's time to act. The tranquilizer is taking effect. The giraffe begins to slow down. But the animal is running in the direction of a nearby lake, so the crew must stop her. For her own protection, the female is tackled. The scientists must work quickly. The animal is sedated, the eyes are covered, and a supply of oxygen is provided. The scientists take measurements. For their records, they give the female the name Annette. The researchers and vet monitor their subject's condition throughout. Finally, a transmitter is attached to the giraffe's ear. To secure her from collapsing, she's not fully anesthetized. Weighing just 50 grams, the transmitter shouldn't trouble an animal weighing over a ton.
1, 2, 3.
Soon after the injection of an antidote, the giant gets up on its feet again. The newly named Annette seems to be well. Team leader Francois Deacon is satisfied. For a year, this female will provide the team with her exact location and valuable insights into her daily routine. Perhaps the biologists will also find out more about how giraffes communicate with one another. They have an unobstructed view and good eyes, that much is known. Could they be sending secret signals with their ears? It's thought that giraffes exchange messages using infrasonic or low-frequency sound. But maybe they're also conveying information with the positions of their tail. Related animals may even identify one another by the pattern of their coat. The giraffes are holding on to their secrets. The researchers still have a lot of work to do. Francois Deacon wants to unravel the riddle of the giraffe. He's back on the trail of his tagged female, Annette. While he tracks down the exact location, his colleague waits for a further signal from the animal.
Yeah, I found it.
Eventually, Deacon finds his giraffe.
Okay.
She seems untroubled by the transmitter and marking in her ears. Deacon is relieved to find the giraffe doing well. Annette has company and is feeding in the treetops. The giraffe has reunited with her group. And there's another female with her youngster, a good sign. The researcher has collared nearly 30 giraffes with different transmitters. Now it's possible to collect a lot of data. Who's going where and with whom? It's almost like seeing their habitat from the long neck's perspective. Giraffes are social animals. They take care of their young. This is a kindergarten supervised by several females. Today, Scientists have evidence that related animals often stay together in herds. Giraffes are always good for a surprise. This one picks up a bone. It sucks on its find. The researchers believe that the animals only do this when they have a shortage of calcium and phosphorus in their diet. They only chew the bones, stopping short of swallowing them. Thanks to a net and others wearing transmitters, some of the many mysteries surrounding Africa's gentle giants may soon be uncovered. Next to nothing is known about what giraffes get up to in the dark. It was assumed that they spend most of the night resting and sleeping, for during daylight hours they dare not snooze for fear of attack by a hungry lion. There are various theories as to how giraffes actually sleep. Hanging around seems rather unlikely. At night, the world's tallest land animals become almost invisible. Biologist Francois Deacon takes a closer look with the help of a special thermal camera which detects the giraffe's body heat. Some rest on the ground, whilst others remain upright. Some eat, while others doze, but rarely for more than 4 hours. Proper sleeping is limited to just a few minutes at a time. The data from the transmitters reveals that giraffes roam at night. There are many benefits of standing so tall, but there are also drawbacks. Dealing with parasites, for example, can be a real pain in the neck. Flies and fleas, lice and ticks are a perennial problem in the bush. One way giraffes get rid of them is by using that long and flexible washing cloth. They also have their very own whisk. And that's not all. When the giraffe's own devices prove insufficient, they put their surroundings to good use. This giraffe is particularly clever, nibbling away at a branch to leave a sharp point, perfect for scratching inside an ear. Is this an example of tool use amongst giraffes, perhaps? For the places even a giraffe can't reach, feathered beauticians are on hand. These oxpeckers are preparing for their next shift. The views from their dining table are unbeatable. And, grateful for the hospitality, the little guys set to work. The birds remove the pesky parasites, but may contaminate some wounds. Every now and then, it all gets too tickly for the patient host. so are the oxpecker's friend or foe. Perhaps they're both. There are yet more disadvantages of the giraffe's elongated proportions. If a thunderstorm begins to brew, the tall guys often have no protection. While their smaller neighbors can seek shelter, the giraffes are exposed. Dark clouds gather, ready to discharge thousands of volts of electricity on the highest point of the savannah. Yes, some giraffes are struck by lightning, but most survive to tell the tale and go about their daily routine as normal. Here, young males are preparing for adult life. It's time to use those horns. They're not like cow horns. Rather, they're bony outgrowths of the skull covered with hair. They play a key part in fights between males. It's training day, a chance for the young males to practice their fighting skills. It may begin playfully, but can quickly turn serious. Only the strongest will go on to mate with the females. In this case, pushing is not against the rules. The competitors are neck and neck. Who will win? The fighters square off and prepare for the next round. Now, their horns come into play. The older the male, the bigger the horns, and the more powerful the blows. Some scientists believe that the giraffe's height didn't evolve because of feeding competition, but because of sexual selection. The theory goes that the male's heavy head, mounted on a long neck, became a highly effective weapon. The winning animal gets to mate, and so passes on his genes for horns, dense skull, and long neck to the next generation. Yet there appears to be no intent to injure, let alone kill the sparring partner. One will throw in the towel before it gets that far. Giraffes are four-legged natural wonders. Surely, it's time to take them more seriously. Given that their habitats are shrinking, we should make sure that these gentle giants can survive. There is an old African proverb: one wink from a giraffe can enchant the world. Our world.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Terra channel so you don't miss our next documentary.